The wrestling world has been turned completely upside down, and if you haven't heard the news yet, sit down, because what I'm about to tell you is going to hit you like a steel chair straight to the chest. It was supposed to be a quiet Saturday. No pay-per-view, no drama, just another regular day in the world of professional wrestling. But then, on May 2nd, 2026, Fightful's Sean Ross Sapp dropped a story that sent shockwaves rippling through every single corner of the internet. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, two of the most beloved, most respected, most decorated veterans in WWE history, had been granted their release from the company. Just like that, with no fanfare, no send-off, no acknowledgement of everything they had built over the course of 16 incredible years, the new day was over. I'm not going to lie to you. When I first saw that headline, I sat there staring at my phone, refreshing the page over and over again, genuinely convincing myself that it had to be wrong. My brain simply refused to accept it. You know that feeling when news is so shocking, so completely unbelievable, that your mind just shuts down for a moment and refuses to process what your eyes are reading. That was me. That was millions of wrestling fans all around the world on that Saturday morning. Here is what actually happened behind the scenes, and this is the part that should make every single one of us uncomfortable. TKO Group Holdings, the corporation that now owns and operates WWE, approached Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods about restructuring their existing contracts into what are being described as new TKO standard terms. Now, Kofi had reportedly signed a deal that was supposed to carry him all the way through 2030. Xavier had renewed his own contract as recently as October 2025. These were not men who were on their way out. These were not men who were winding down their careers. These were active, valued members of the roster who had every reason to believe their futures with the company were secure. But when TKO put new terms on the table, terms that clearly did not reflect the value and the legacy that these two men had spent over a decade and a half building, Kofi and Xavier did something that took real courage. They said no. They walked away. And before anyone could even fully process the news, their profiles on WWE.com had already been quietly moved over to the alumni section, as if 16 years of history could simply be filed away and forgotten. Now I want you to really think about what the new day meant to this company, because I don't think everyone fully appreciates the magnitude of what has just been lost. This was not just a tag team. This was not just a faction. The New Day was the heartbeat of WWE for the better part of a decade. Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, and Big E built something that nobody in the history of this business had ever built quite the same way. They were funny, they were charismatic, they were athletic, they were genuine, and most importantly, they were real. The fans felt that authenticity in every single thing they did, whether they were throwing pancakes into the crowd, hyping up their cereal brand, or main eventing WrestleMania in a moment that made grown men and women cry in arenas all over the world. Kofi Mania alone stands as one of the most emotionally resonant stories that WWE has ever told. 12 tag team championships, 16 years of service, a connection with the fanbase that most performers spend their entire careers chasing and never find. And TKO asked those men to take less. That is the part that keeps sitting heavy with me no matter how many times I turn it over in my mind. And then, just when the fallout seemed like it couldn't get any more intense, Roman Reigns broke his silence. There were no production lights, no camera crew, no elaborate setup. Just the tribal chief sitting in what appeared to be his private locker room, still wearing his necklace, his face carrying a weight and an emotion that I genuinely have not seen from him in years. He did not cut a promo. He did not perform. He simply spoke. He said that he cannot believe the New Day is gone. He said that Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods have been in that locker room longer than most people can remember, that they have bled for this company, that they have given everything to entertain millions of fans around the world, and that to ask men like that to restructure their deals after everything they have given is simply not right. He paused, looked directly into the camera, and made something crystal clear. He said that this business is brutal, that it chews people up and spits them out, but that what happened to the New Day is not how you treat family. And then he looked right down the lens and said that if TKO believes they can discard legends like yesterday's trash, they need to think again, because the locker room is watching, and Roman Reigns is watching. When Roman Reigns speaks, the entire wrestling world stops and listens. That is simply the reality of where we are. He is the face of this company, the world heavyweight champion, the head of the table, and for him to publicly and openly question the decisions being made by WWE management, that is not a small thing. That is enormous. Roman and the New Day have shared locker rooms for over a decade. They have competed against one another, they have respected one another, and together they have helped build the modern era of WWE into what it is today. But what Roman said goes far beyond personal friendship or loyalty. It speaks to something much larger that has been quietly building inside that locker room ever since TKO took control of the company. There was the wave of releases that followed WrestleMania 41. Then came another round of roster cuts in April. And now two of the most decorated and universally respected veterans on the entire roster are walking out the door because the offer on the table did not honor what they are worth. The unease is real, the tension is real, and Roman just gave it a voice. All of this is happening, by the way, with Backlash right around the corner, where Roman Reigns is set to defend his title against Jacob Fatu, a younger, hungrier, and deeply motivated competitor who in many ways represents exactly the kind of undervalued talent that the current climate has created. Roman has beaten everyone. He has stood across the ring from The Rock, from Cody Rhodes, from Brock Lesnar, from CM Punk, and he has come out on top every single time. But heading into Backlash, the tribal chief is carrying something extra with him now. He is not just fighting for his championship. He is fighting for the soul of this industry, and that energy is going to be felt. There are going to be two schools of thought on all of this, and I understand both of them. Some people are going to say that TKO made a catastrophic mistake, that they let two irreplaceable locker room leaders walk out the door over a contract dispute that should never have gotten to this point, and that no amount of business logic justifies pushing out men who gave 16 years of their lives to this company. Others are going to say that business is business, that contract negotiations are a normal part of the industry, and that no one, regardless of their legacy, is exempt from the financial realities of a publicly traded corporation. I hear that argument, I just don't agree with it, because the New Day was not just a line item on a balance sheet. They were the heart of WWE. Their ability to connect with fans of every age, every background, every walk of life was something genuinely rare and irreplaceable. And when you let that walk out the door to save a few dollars on a contract, you are not running a smart business. You are making a mistake you cannot undo. Roman Reigns has sent a message to management, and that message is not going to be ignored. The locker room is watching, the fans are watching, and the wrestling world, as Roman himself said, will never quite be the same. I want to know what you think about all of this. Do you believe TKO made a serious mistake by letting the New Day walk? Do you think Roman speaking out publicly will actually change anything behind the scenes? Drop everything you are thinking in the comments section below, because this is a conversation that the entire wrestling community needs to be having right now. If this story hit you as hard as it hit me, make sure you like this video and subscribe to Wrestling Juice so you never miss a moment of the biggest stories in sports entertainment. The New Day may be gone from WWE, but their legacy is permanent, their impact is undeniable, and the ripple effects of their departure are only just beginning to be felt.